Tell us how you first met and what it was about each other that clicked.
I walked in the room, and again, I'm quite a good judge of character, quite good at energy. And I walked into the room and I was like, right, we just clicked straight away. That, you know, and I became abundantly clear what a good guy was, what a professional, what it was in regards. Also, his passion for sport, his mutual respect for athletes. I'm fascinated by how people achieve their success and how, you know, Toolroom's become the label it's become. And obviously I kind of idolise Mark in terms of the DJ stuff. So it's kind of a really nice friendship. And then we just got on like a house on fire. And I found, particularly in this industry, people talk a lot, but don't ever deliver, and also of quite sort of difficult characters. Mark and I we just bonded. And I was like, it fits in with the whole Toolroom ethos. That's why I'm doing another course with Dean. Dean's part of Toolroom family, great guy. Pete Griffiths, great guy. Ben Remember, great guy. Matt Smallwood, great guy. All his team, you know, and Mark's at the head of it. And you can see why it is the way it is.
Music and sport have been huge parts of your lives. What parallels are there between the two disciplines? And what major differences?
What I love about James, or anyone who gets to that level of achievement within sport, you know, for me, I've done some great things in music, but I guess if someone said to you, what's the ultimate win professionally in life, and that would be to represent my country. I cannot think of anything greater in life than getting to that point in your chosen sport that you're able to represent your country. And the admiration I have for anyone who gets to that level, for me, is just phenomenal. So, you know, straight away I have this huge amount of respect and for James for getting that far. And I think that level of dedication is transferable into anything. And that's what I loved about James. And I thought, I would love, you know, I think anyone who's done that, I'll get behind. Because if you can do it there's absolutely no reason you can't do it in music. If you have that inherent passion for the same discipline, for the same part of life that you love, then with the right steer, then you can get there. And I think the difference, though, in sport and music is, and I think this is why James and I connect, I think there's two types of people in life, and I stand by this. People who have played team sport and people who haven't. There's a bond and an ethos and an outlook. When you play for a team, you give up to something that is greater than you. It's about all the parts that make the whole, not you as an individual. And unfortunately in music, it's surrounded by people who've never played team sport and don't understand that as a principle, and it's about me, I. You know, there's no I's in Toolroom. We built the whole thing on a family basis, an inclusive thing, that we are a collective of people that do things because we genuinely love it, and we're there, we help each other out. You know, we're on the same team, so why wouldn't we help each other? So what I loved about James is that he understood that, and anyone who understands that, and it's a kind of an understanding and an ethos and a way of approaching life and friendships that is, I think, is built in from understanding that as a notion, and that really gave us the foundation of our relationship. So I thought, look, we've already got this. We sing from the same sheet. You know, I'll get behind you the whole way, because why wouldn't I? You're a top bloke. If we didn't do music, or we'd just be mates. You know, the fact we do music, well, happy days. It's great. We've got something else to talk about and get behind and work together on. Because I think we sing from the same sheet.
With an art form such as music, you don't think you can put structure to it, but actually you can. And Mark's really showed me that, like, if you do this, this will happen. Yes, you've got to be creative, but these are the best things you can do to help your career or move forward. And then it might not guarantee success, but it shows you there is much more of a pathway than just making music, sending it around, or trying to be a DJ, just playing music. You can get better, you can put structure, you can be disciplined as a DJ.
How do you each handle criticism, and what role has it played in shaping your journey?
I always ask Mark for feedback, and one of my best mates, a guy called Alex Grover, who DJs under Because of Art, I send him my mixes, I come back and I say, let's be critical, because that's how you improve. But there are ways and means of being critical and going, look, this and this was good, this wasn't good, here's how you get better. Selling to someone that you're just not good and walking off. If I played music to Mark, I just don't like that, that's not right, here's what I would do to change that, don't worry about that, my reason for not liking that is this. That's constructive. Just going, I don't like it, when someone you're looking up to can bury you. And you see it, I'm now being a dad, you see it with kind of kids. The Bodie's only 2, but it's kind of, she makes her say, sorry, Daddy. It's like, Don't worry about it. Mistakes are what makes life goes by. Who cares?
I think criticism, if it's done in a constructive way, is only beneficial because you're learning. The thing with music is it's subjective, so no one holds the right answer. It's your interpretation. There are no rights, there are no wrongs. And if you don't like it, that's totally cool, man. At least you've got a point of view, and I respect that. You know, and there's a way of conveying that in a way that is sensitive and understanding within the realm of music. You know, I've been very, very blessed. I can honestly say in my whole 30-year career, I probably had one or two people say something that got under my skin. I've been super I don't know why.
Your missus doesn't count, so that doesn't.
Oh, that's 3 times every hour. I mean, it's a different, whole different ball going over there. Yeah. But no, within music, I've been very, very fortunate. I don't know why, and I thank everyone, you know, who's followed me for being like that. But I never really had that kind of real digging me out. I guess because I sit under the radar. I've never got to that pinnacle, and I don't know if I want to be there, because what matters more to me is integrity. It's not where I get to. Did I get there with complete integrity? And as long as I maintain that, as long as I can walk away and I can stand behind everything I do and walk away with it at the end and go, I'm proud of that.
Yeah.
I'm totally proud of that. If it doesn't resonate and connect, that's totally cool. That's your subjective opinion on my body of work. But if I can stand behind it and go, I did that because I loved it for no other reason, then all of that just bounces off.
What's the most significant lesson you learned from working with other people?
Always leading by example, because always show, don't tell. If you can show that you can be in Brazil on Saturday night, yet you're first in the office on the Monday morning and you're the first one to get the kettle on and make the brews, then people, they adopt that principle. Like, I don't have to tell my team anything. If I phone them now, or phone at 2 a.m. on Saturday night, I said, guys, I've got to get in the office. I need you now. They'll be there. And that's not because they feel pressured. It's because I've built an ethos and a way of working through example. Like, if I can do it, if I can be in Sao Paulo Saturday and I'm back in at 9 a.m. on Monday morning, then if you've just had a few beers on a Friday night, you can get in Monday. And everyone's adopted that principle, and we all believe that way. And it's not through fear, it's not through hierarchy, it's just example. And I've always taken that approach of, don't ask anyone to do anything you wouldn't do.
I do remember, you know, when I was at Northampton, that moment, not being able to perform, you know, only playing 5 games a season and wanting to try to make the World Cup, having to come in and say to all the lads, I've got to retire, and like breaking down in tears and stuff, and being like, you know, just because you've known your whole life, and then having to transition out into a world, you know, using music as the example, where what's your mark of success? How do you progress? A lot of it's out of your own hands. A lot of it's down to opinion, perspective. Sport is, if you're good enough and you train hard enough and you work hard enough and you perform, you get that. Music it's a slower burn, you know. And also, I find it frustrating that we talk about it. You know, people don't respond to emails, people don't come back to you. It's because it's an art form. It's very loose, and people disappear, and then they come back.
I think the word's unprofessional. I think in actuality, the actual word is unprofessional.
Ethereal and sort of, you know, floaty and loose, basically pretty unprofessional. And so I find that frustrating, because I'm like, you ask to do something, I go and do it. If you want me to fix something, I'll go and fix it. And so that transition into this particular world, where you're not as in control as your destiny as you would want to be, I find hard. But, you know, it's kind of what you chose to do.
What does failure look like to you?
I was very afraid of making mistakes, and I had to work very hard about it. And there was a period.
Did you ever, in rugby, ever go into a game of magnitude with that as a fear?
Yes, and there's moments where I played inside myself because I didn't want to take a risk. I did what I wanted to do. The understanding is that when you see a finished track, or you see a finished picture, or see a finished painting, you don't see all the discarded projects, all the fucking paper in the bin of all the sketches and all the discarded ideas. You just see the finished article. You don't see what goes into shaping that and what they shaped when they were younger versus what they shape now. And I realised that in life, every time I took to the field after that, I wanted to play as if when I watched it back, I'd see a highlight reel. I'd rather see that, a mistake and big moments, than just mediocrity.
Yeah.
And I had to work really hard on it. And I realised that I didn't believe myself as much as I knew that was an issue, but then I obviously got myself into a phase where I was doing okay, but I didn't want to hear bad things about me. So failure for me is never trying and actually not failing. Failing is really important. And you have to work very hard to deal with it, because sometimes you fail on a bigger scale. The more weight comes to it, especially with social media. There's more access to tell you what a failure you are. But I would rather look back and go, I gave it all my shot. Everything was a highlight reel. I had a good go at it. I tried it. They're not doing it, and I think that's real failure. Real failure is never doing anything or starting it at the risk of making mistakes.
Agreed. Yeah, that's exactly how I see failure. I don't see failure within specific instances. I think in general, if you don't push yourself in life and try everything, try all those dreams, all of those inquisitive thoughts that you have, try everything, do everything. Because then if you don't, not everything's going to work. Not everything's going to work. You're not going to like everything. But better to stand at the end of life and go, do you know what? I tried absolutely everything. Some things I liked, some things I didn't like, and I didn't pursue. But to stand there at the end of your life and go, I wish I had done that. That is failure for me.
Have you ever questioned your purpose in your careers, and what was the catalyst for these doubts?
I've sat down a few times going, like, why the hell am I trying to be a DJ, make music? Like, why do I do it? Life would be a lot simpler if I just stuck to other things. But honestly, it's when I get a chance to play and I just love it. And I go, you very rarely find something that you absolutely love doing. Now I've realised what it's like to DJ in front of a crowd and to play to people. That's the bit when you see people and you've captured them and you've got that. Well, you know better than anyone. You've got them on board and you can suddenly take them anywhere. And it's like you've taken the greatest drug, drunk the greatest drink you can ever drink, and you're completely stone cold sober because you're just in that moment. And there's moments when I've mixed and I've almost cried out of pure euphoria,
emotion. Yeah.
And there's nothing in my life that's ever done that. I've made a few people cry, I'm sure, but not the other way around.
What excites you most about the future of your career and where it's heading?
As a DJ, your number one priority is to play music to the people in front of you. That's your job. And I go into a room and I look at them and I go, this is what they want, and I give it to them. I don't just play regardless, but I think when you get to a certain level, you get to go to a crowd that are engaged on that sound. You play for a label that is on that sound, an event that is on that sound. And I'm not in that atmosphere yet. I've had moments of it, but that's what I want to go and achieve. And I learn, the travel, the sacrifice, the late night aren't an issue for me because I want to pursue that. But I want to make it much more structured, and I want to, in the next 2 years, get to a point where I'm very comfortable while making sure that the rest of my focus is on my daughter, and particularly bringing up a girl. In the world we live in now, it has its own challenges, and I just want her to know no one put limitations on me, no one puts limitations on her. I want to be there as a dad. I'd love to have a relationship with my daughter like Mark has with his son, and the sacrifices he's making. I think it's really important to do that. And so I've got lots of challenges and bits and pieces that I want to achieve. I'm as hungry as ever. I mean, it'd be simpler to say probably world domination than what I'd like to achieve, but we'll start with just some legitimate DJ gigs on some good labels,